So now we have the implementation of 666. The Antichrist has proclaimed himself God, and he is a God. He will be worshipped as a God. The two witnesses obviously rail against the Antichrist. They are the truth bearers. And but 666 is being implemented throughout the entire world. Nothing is going to stop it. And if you are a prepper and you think you can go off grid, and forget it, not going to happen. So invasive is 666. No man, it says, may buy or sell without it. And so it's going to happen, right? And those who will not take the mark will be executed. This is the New World Order, finally implemented. And so, how much of Google and Facebook will be used to, implement this policy? Well, I guess we'll find out in the future, won't we? I have a feeling you might already know. But nevertheless, these things are going on, and now you notice that there's no saints in the world now. They've been rounded up and they've been executed on a mass scale, a murderous mass scale. And so, this goes back to the fifth and sixth seal judgments, commonly known as the seal judgments, but I call them the intel reports. And now God will respond. There is no escaping the judgment of God. And so, and how does God respond? With the trumpet judgments. And these are indeed judgments for sure. And so, just as I had mentioned Lot in Sodom, the famous story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, Lot was the only righteous person in Sodom. And God withheld his judgment on Sodom until the righteous left the city. In this case, there's only one guy. That was Lot. When Lot left the city, God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So, in like manner, you see that the saints are rounded up and they're killed throughout the entire world, wherever 666 is implemented. All right, and this is a worldwide scale Holocaust. And therefore, the righteous are no longer in the world as they once were. And the last of the righteous, which were in Israel, they escape into the wilderness, are in hiding. And so this last 3.5 years is going to get real intense. And this is, now we're going to see it actually unfold. And the destruction and the violence increases. And here comes the judgment of God. And so Operation Wormwood is now in effect. Remember, we had an angel come to America, and he's marking the Jewish core of 144,000 men. Most of the Jews live in America and Israel. So by logical deduction, the angel that marks the 144,000 must go to America. Well, now those Jews have left, and they are the righteous. This 144,000 Jewish army, what I call the Jewish core leaves and goes to Israel. And now there's no righteous anywhere in America. The unrighteous rule America, and they are all in for the Antichrist. Well, God passes judgment. And the church is in heaven, and the church approves of this divine strike upon North America. And so here come the asteroids. They come and they hit right there. Boom. Right on North America. And we go on this other side of the map here. Shows the western United States. Move all this stuff out of the way. And, we see North America is hit by God. And an asteroid comes out of the sky, out of space, hits the Pacific, And you can only imagine the tsunami effect of a burning mountain hitting the Pacific Ocean. This has implications for everyone in the Pacific. All the islands, in the Bible it says when God returns, the islands will flee away, the mountains will be brought low. Well, Operation Wormwood? Absolutely. Especially if you got a mountain hitting the Pacific Ocean. The tsunamis would just wipe away every island in the Pacific. And Japan will be hit. North America will be hit, all the coastline. And San Francisco, San Diego, Seattle, Portland, any of the famous American cities on the West Coast completely destroyed, not only by a tsunami, but in this case, hitting the landmass as well of North America. This is Operation Wormwood, the first 4 trumpets of God. And any survivors of Operation Wormwood will look up and they will not be able to see the moon, the stars, or the sun, just because of all the particulate matter in the atmosphere. So is the complete destruction of North America. It is so complete that they cannot even see the sky. And all that particulate matter is thrown up into the atmosphere, and the jet stream takes that smoke and that debris and that particulate matter and spreads it throughout the whole world. And so this is the disaster, the ecological disaster that results from Operation Wormwood, and that comes from God. That is the judgment of God upon man for implementing 666 and killing the saints. It's a cause and effect relationship here. And so North America is hit and is wiped out. And that's America in prophecy, by the way. A lot of people often ask, where is America in prophecy? You got to remember, this book was written 2,000 years ago in antiquity. And there was no such thing as the German language. There was no such thing as the English language. The natives of Europe were the Celts, and the Greeks and the Romans ruled that world. And so as time went on, however, things changed. And so, John on the Isle of Patmos, as a prisoner of the Roman Empire, he has to write about a future people that, he has no clue, how to pronounce. United States of America, how would you say that? Who knows? And so, so he has to use different names. He has to describe the land and the peoples in different ways, he can't just say, the United States of America is hit by, asteroids. He doesn't know anything about asteroids, doesn't know anything about the United States. But God has shown him the future, and so he describes it, as somebody from 2,000 years ago. So, is America in prophecy? Absolutely. Is America destroyed in prophecy? Yes, absolutely. America is Babylon the Great. And so, when you think about America, we're the preeminent power. There is nobody like America. Not even Europe comes close. And but we're an extension of Europe. We're an extension of the Roman Empire. Look at all the 50 state capitals of the United States. And it looks a little bit like Rome. And so, and of course, our founding fathers were, they knew Roman history and Greek history, and often been compared to, the Caesars. Well, not the Caesars, but, certain writers of the past who glorified the Republic of Rome, right? And our founding fathers warned against empire, etc., etc., And so they knew Roman history, Greek history, and, but eventually America, even though we started off as a Christian state, we're kind of like the only state to start off that way, by the way. And that's what makes America so unique. as I stated earlier, Europe was populated by native Celts. They're kind of like the native Europeans when the Greeks and the Romans came in. They were all pagans. Nobody believed in the Lord. But over time, as the church got established in Rome and the Catholic Church sent its missionaries all throughout Europe, slowly, over time, they became Christianized. Well, America starts off as a colony of Great Britain, and it immediately begins as a Christian state. But over time, in the past 200 years, America has reverted really to paganism again, or to paganism for the first time. And so, and if you know anything about Scripture, and you know anything about Christ, reverting back to the old ways is often compared to a dog that goes back to its vomit, eats its vomit, right? It's kind of this nasty illusion, right? So for America, which was a Christian state, to embrace paganism today, that's not acceptable. And so God, and there's going to be a lot of Americans in heaven, by the way. They won't be known as Americans anymore, But in the past, they will know the past, and they will say, well, I was an American once. And but unfortunately, America went pagan. And, we see this in the 60s, right? The 1960s was really kind of a watershed moment in American history where America finally just walks away from Christianity. And, of course, all the implications of that we have seen since then. So America has become Babylon the Great, I argue. And so what we see in Revelation, this is Revelation 18, we see an angel actually flying throughout heaven and proclaiming that Babylon the Great has fallen. So when God destroys North America with Operation Wormwood, that is when the angel comes out and declares that Babylon the Great has fallen. And what's interesting is that as an allusion to Operation Wormwood, the angel throws a stone into the water. And so I have a feeling that's kind of points to this asteroid right into the Pacific Ocean, right? And so America is no more. Just as Magog is destroyed, Russia, and they leave the scene, well, now it's America's turn. And as a judgment of God, he destroys North America, and as a result, destroys the instruments of power that Satan could use. See? So, once that happens, a lot of the infrastructure for dictatorship is destroyed, or is at least degraded to the point where it gets more difficult for the Antichrist to rule the world as a dictator. And so that is why North America must be destroyed. And as I've stated, a lot of Christians, and I believe this, that America is really a client state to God, that we've been used by God as a force for good in the world, much to the chagrin of our leftist friends, dare I say. And but now that the church is gone, now that the saints have been rounded up and executed because they're not accepting 666, now there's no righteous. And like Lot that leaves Sodom and Gomorrah, that now allows God to destroy North America with this asteroidal attack, this extraterrestrial attack, by the way. And so thus ends the United States of America, thus ends Babylon the Great. And by the way, the Bible says that the world will weep when Babylon the Great falls. And, think about how much money America generates for the world, and how much influence we have in the world, just as a nation, right? And like I stated earlier, if you look at the numbers, America is so unique. The political power, the military power, the economic power, the cultural power. We're the only nation went to the moon. at least a man on the moon. And, so we have America is such a great nation. It, really punches above its weight. But now America is no more. And so I suppose, and there will be survivors, by the way, from this extraterrestrial attack. But they'll be few and far in between, far or low in number. And, I'm not sure that, even if you prep for this, there's going to be people in underground facilities. There's always NORAD, right? And there's underground bunkers, I'm sure, all throughout Washington, D.C. And various other places, too. It's not just there. And then, of course, you have the underground subways. I suppose you could survive in that. But the surface of North America really, it's going to be a moonscape. It's not something you can, start replanting seeds and start growing crops and what have you. No. Massive death and destruction. In fact, the Bible records that another star, which is called Wormwood, actually poisons the waters. This is the fresh waters. And so that men who drink of it perish from it. So the land is destroyed, the waters are destroyed. The land is destroyed and the waters are destroyed. And so there's just nothing left. And the Bible records that. And so that's all happening in the third quarter, the second half of the tribulation, the first part of the second half of the tribulation, what I call the third quarter. And so now you see the destruction here of North America, and things only get worse from here.